Did you know that in 2023 alone, global companies paid over $85 billion in tariffs, a staggering increase of nearly 60% from just 5 years earlier? For many businesses, these weren't just extra costs. They were existential threats, triggering layoffs, shrinking margins, and in some cases, complete shutdowns. Now ask yourself, what if your entire supply chain strategy is quietly setting you up for failure in the next trade war? Today, we're tackling one of the most urgent and overlooked challenges facing businesses today: how to restructure your supply chain to minimize tariff exposure. Most businesses only react after they've been blindsided by new duties or trade restrictions. But the real winners are proactive. They don't just respond, they anticipate. They treat the global trade landscape like a chessboard and maneuver strategically, shifting suppliers, redesigning logistics, and reclassifying products before the pressure hits. What we're diving into today isn't just a matter of saving money, although you will. It's about transforming how you view and manage your supply chain entirely. The game has changed, and those who keep playing by the old rules are falling behind. Over the past 2 decades, global trade has evolved dramatically. The supply chain industry has shifted from being a static, cost-driven system into a fast-moving, intelligence-powered battlefield. As we explore how this transformation happened, you'll see why it's not just important, but essential to restructure your approach. The modern supply chain has undergone a dramatic reinvention. In the past, companies built their networks around one simple metric: cost efficiency. If labor was cheaper in one country, you moved your production there. If materials were less expensive from one supplier, you shifted sourcing. This model made sense in an era of stable geopolitics and predictable trade agreements. But that world no longer exists. Rising tariffs, unstable political climates, and global crises like pandemics have made one thing clear: the lowest cost option can become the highest risk liability overnight. This shift has given rise to what many now call the resilient supply chain. Instead of basing decisions solely on cost, companies are prioritizing flexibility, responsiveness, and risk mitigation. Take Apple, for instance. Over the last several years, Apple has aggressively diversified its manufacturing beyond China. While China remains central to its operations, Apple has expanded production in countries like India and Vietnam. This isn't just a public relations move, it's a calculated effort to reduce exposure to tariffs, labor volatility, and sudden policy shifts. The lesson here is clear. If you want to survive and grow in today's trade environment, you must map your current supply chain in detail, identify pressure points, and actively reduce dependencies on any single region or partner. One of the most effective strategies involves diversifying manufacturing and sourcing across multiple countries. Rather than relying heavily on one low-cost region, companies are adopting the China Plus One model, keeping China in the mix, but building up operations in secondary countries with more favorable trade relationships. Another increasingly popular approach is nearshoring, or moving production closer to the end market to reduce both tariffs and transportation times. Countries like Mexico, Poland, and Vietnam have emerged as key players in this new model, offering a balance of cost competitiveness and lower geopolitical risk. However, this transition isn't without its challenges. Moving production to a new country may mean dealing with higher labor costs, infrastructure gaps, or unfamiliar regulations. But the hidden value lies in long-term gains: less exposure to sudden tariff hikes, faster turnaround times, and increased control over your operations. Companies that begin restructuring today will find themselves far more agile and resilient tomorrow. In addition to redesigning physical supply chains, successful companies are also playing a smarter game when it comes to trade rules. One of the most overlooked tools in global trade strategy is the free trade agreement. While often seen as bureaucratic or complex, FTAs can significantly reduce or eliminate tariffs if properly understood and applied. Tesla provides a prime example. By exporting components from the United States to its Gigafactory in Mexico and assembling vehicles there, Tesla qualifies for tariff-free movement under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, reducing cost and speeding up logistics. This is strategic restructuring at its finest. Another underused tactic is duty engineering, which involves intentionally altering a product's characteristics, packaging, or sourcing to lower the tariff burden. Some companies disassemble products before shipping and reassemble them domestically to benefit from a lower classification rate. Others tweak materials or configurations to qualify for more favorable customs codes. This level of detail can unlock major savings, but it requires a deep understanding of harmonized tariff schedule codes and a proactive approach to compliance. Businesses serious about minimizing tariff exposure often turn to bonded warehouses and foreign trade zones, where imported goods can be stored, manipulated, or re-exported without incurring duties. These tools give businesses more control over how and when tariffs are triggered. Compliance remains a challenge, particularly with the strict rules of origin required under many trade agreements. But this is where digital tools and experienced advisors come into play. Companies that embrace these complexities gain a powerful advantage, fewer surprises, and more room to maneuver. The future of supply chain management lies in digital intelligence. As tariffs become more dynamic and unpredictable, the ability to model scenarios in real time will separate the leaders from the laggards. Companies like Walmart are already using artificial intelligence to predict geopolitical shifts, flag potential tariff risks, and reroute shipments in advance. By leveraging AI and analytics, they avoid costly delays and adapt faster than competitors. Technological platforms like SAP Integrated Business Planning, Project 44, and FourKites are giving businesses unprecedented visibility across their supply chains. With real-time data, companies can model the impact of a new tariff, evaluate alternative shipping routes, and understand which suppliers pose the most risk. Some are even building digital twins of their supply chains, virtual models that allow decision makers to test strategies before executing them. This isn't science fiction, it's becoming standard practice in leading firms. Blockchain is also playing a role by ensuring secure and transparent documentation of goods across borders. This can help support compliance with free trade agreements and streamline audits. When combined with predictive analytics, blockchain gives businesses a clearer view of not only what is happening now, but what is likely to happen next. Despite the upfront investment required for these technologies, the long-term payoff is clear. Companies that digitize their supply chains are better equipped to anticipate tariffs, manage disruptions, and adapt quickly. They become less reactive and more proactive, turning uncertainty into a strategic asset. As global trade becomes more complex, companies that restructure their supply chains with foresight and precision will stand out. Tariffs may be unpredictable, but your response doesn't have to be. Strategic restructuring isn't just a defensive move, it's a path to stronger margins, better customer service, and greater long-term stability. Tariffs aren't a passing trend, they're becoming a permanent part of how global business operates. But that doesn't mean your profit margins have to suffer. The businesses that will thrive in this new era are the ones that think ahead. Those who proactively diversify their supply chains, use trade agreements and duty classifications to their advantage, and leverage technology to stay one step ahead. Restructuring your supply chain is no longer optional, it's essential. The good news is that by taking action now, you can not only protect your business from future shocks, you can turn this challenge into a competitive advantage. If today's episode gave you valuable insights or a new way of thinking about your supply chain strategy, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Shaun Academy. And we want to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge you face when managing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.